Awesome. What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us for another stream of mission briefing. This one is a bit different, a bit special. It's a panel. We've done a few of these before, but it's an AMA with the Apollo developer experience team. Well, at least a part of us, right? This is not the whole team, but there's a few of us. A couple more will be hanging out in chat. I know Peggy's going to be around, so definitely say hey to her. We are here to answer questions about what, you might ask. Well, we've recently released a couple roles at Apollo, and we thought it would be a great idea to kind of talk about what those are and what our day-to-day is like, so you can kind of get a sense of what it is. The dev experience world is ever changing and kind of different at each company, so it's nice to just get an overview of what the story is and who we are. So I figure we could start with some introductions, I'm just gonna go in order of like who's from left to right on stream. So Khalil, do you want to like take it away and be our first intro?
Sure. Cool. Yeah, I'm Khalil Stemler, developer advocate at Apollo. I do a lot of blog stuff here, a little bit of streaming. This is a really awesome place to work and just have some fantastic teammates. So who's next? I'm not seeing the layout.
Oh yeah, I got you.
So up way too much space.
No, you're good. But first, we got to make sure each introduction gets a round of applause.
Yeah, so round of applause or maybe a fart.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a fart, but I wish I did. There we go. Scream cat. We got it up. Added a new meme. Sorry, y'all. Added a new meme to the stream. Okay, so next up we've got Trevor Blades. Trevor, you want to go ahead and give an introduction?
Howdy, y'all. I'm Trevor. I'm a senior DX engineer on the education team at Apollo. I love building React apps, and love working with GraphQL and Gatsby, and more recently I've been enjoying building with Chakra, and yeah, I'm just we on the education team we build, or on the DX team at large, we build websites that are primarily used as like resources for people who want to learn how to use Apollo, and all the stuff that we build. Some of those, if not all of those, technologies that I just talked about in some capacity. And yeah, we've got a lot of really interesting projects coming up, some that are almost finished and others that are just getting started. So yeah, I'm stoked for the future of education here at Apollo.
Nice.
Thank you. What's up, Peggy?
Hey, Peggy in the chat. Awesome, cool. Yeah, and last up, myself. I'm Kurt Kemple, developer advocate. Well, I guess now DevRel manager technically. Yeah, and I am, well, largely still developer advocate. That's what a large part of my work is, but also now just kind of thinking about what developer relations looks like at Apollo, which is fun, and why we're doing this stream to kind of talk about DX and education and DevRel and demystify what all of that means, what we think about those things, what we're doing in those areas. So yeah, we're very excited to have you all with us, and we would love to answer any questions that you have. So with that said, it's not much of an AMA if you don't ask us any questions. It's definitely an open book. Yeah, but we want to make sure that we answer any questions. We know that it can be kind of uncomfortable, so we'll go some through. Like I'll lead us with some questions on our day to day, but hopefully
Nice.
it can kind of work up from there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so well, we've got a couple actually rolling in now. So let's hang on one second and see what we got. So Trevor, actually, first one really is kind of for you. Are you the document fetcher in the gateway?
Am I the person that would document the fetcher?
Yeah,
in the
that would
gateway?
document the fetcher in gateway. That's
I am
it.
not.
I was
I am
like,
not
are
a
you the
document
document
fetcher.
fetcher? I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, well, I might not be the person who like physically writes the documentation about the fetcher in the gateway. The way the documentation is written at Apollo typically is that teams who build or maintain a particular product or feature, they'll write the documentation about that thing. We also have a documentation lead, Steven, who's not on this call, but he's maybe he's watching at home and can chime in the chat. But he's essentially the kind of last point of contact on docs that go out. He adds kind of the final layer of polish on that stuff. So if the fetcher for the gateway hasn't been documented yet, or the documentation could be improved, that's definitely something we want to know. And our documentation is a constantly evolving thing, and we'll improve documentation that needs to be improved, and add documentation for things that need to be documented, but everything in time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Kyle, if it sounds like it would have saved you some time if you could maybe provide some more context, or we just launched a feature in our docs for providing feedback. So on every page of the docs, you'll see a little star icon on the right side of the page. You can click that and submit feedback about any article, and add any additional context that you might have, something that we can take an action on, for instance.
Heck yeah. Real quick, before we get any further, we got a couple questions,
Yeah.
but BJ Kegley had a quick shout out to Khalil. They've been getting into a lot of that domain-driven design stuff lately. Said your work has like been a huge help for them. So shout out to
That's awesome.
Khalil.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. DDD is just such a world of. To me, it was like an answer to just so many questions that I felt were unsolved by the time I started writing code, and yeah, it's just a fascinating just rabbit hole, and I can't wait to like keep writing more stuff about it. So yeah, it's sick. I'm glad you found it useful. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think before we get into any of the other user questions, I think it'd be worth answering Piggy's question. First, what is a DX team mission and how is the team structured? And so for everybody watching, just to sum up quickly, our official mission on the DX team is to inspire and equip all developers to be successful with Apollo. That's kind of our North Star as a broader team. And then regarding team structure, Kurt, if you want to take that and describe how DX is broken up.
Yeah, sure. DX, Developer Experience, is kind of the umbrella organization at Apollo that handles everything, dealing with community and education, right? And under that, there's a lot of things that go on. Largely, we're broken up into two teams: developer relations, which is focused a lot on the community aspect and events and helping developers be successful, and providing, kind of like content around things. Like helping, solve problems, more niche stuff. Whereas the education department is the other half of DX, and that's, going to be focused on your more structured content, clearing broader pathways, creating lots of training material and guided educational content, like curriculum to empower, more people to be successful with GraphQL. So that's kind of, the breakup of the two sides. Under DevRel, we really have like a focus on developer advocacy. Events as a whole is something that's very important to us for community. And then also community management is something else that we are doing, but in the future want to do a lot more of. So that's kind of the breakdown there. And then on the education side, we've got DX engineers who will help, again, as Trevor mentioned earlier, like lay the pathway, create all of the sites and apps and properties and things that enable developers, tutorials, like, stuff like that will help developers, learn Apollo and be able to find stuff related to it. So yeah, that is kind of the breakup there. And then on that, we have developer educators, right, as far as content creators, filmmakers, what else? And then DX engineers. Is that about good sum up?
That pretty much sums it up. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of crossover between those two sides that Kurt talked about. Like between DevRel, like engaging the community and like interacting with the community through events or through other like dev advocacy means. And actually then like on the education side, like creating a lot of that content that will be either like used or inspired by the DevRel side. So there's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah. We got a question that's I feel like Khalil, you might want to take a shot at this one, which is what are some of the highlights or lowlights of being a DevRel or dev advocate, and what are the best parts, but I guess also what are the frustrating ones? Like, what are the highs for you and what are the lows for you of dev advocacy or developer relations? I think for me,
I think I might be lagging a little bit.
I'm gonna try and fix it. Okay? Yeah, we can hear you, so I'm gonna try and fix the visual lag while you should be able to keep doing your thing. Yeah.
So I really think the highlight for DevRel is
shit. Hang on.
Am I still lagging now?
No, I just completely cut you out. Hang on. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay, you're back, so everyone can hear you now. I don't know if you'll lag, but you're back. So sorry, buddy.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I was gonna say the highlight is, I think it feels really good because as a developer yourself, it's what goes into, how good it feels when you have a problem and you come across, this is the blessed blog post or this is that blessed repo, and someone put a lot of care into that. honestly, I feel like this as an occupation, getting a chance to actually just help people and help them be more productive, sometimes feels like it doesn't make sense that this is something that is a job, you know, because it's such a great feeling. So I think when you have the opportunity to um, see problems that people are facing and really understand it because you yourself are a developer, and then spend time on actually coming up with a nice solution, that's such a rewarding experience. And just getting to be a part of the community and seeing the things people are working on, and that's really fascinating to me too. I think one of the lowlights of being a developer advocate or just in DevRel is there's a lot of stuff you could be doing on any given day. You know, video is fun, blogging is fun, streaming is fun, going to meetups and talking to developers is fun. There's so much stuff to do, but I have this feeling like you kind of want to pick a couple of things to really focus on. I think we have a really nice split at this team, like between blogging and streaming and different types of content. Yeah. I think we all kind of like absorb a little bit of that, and we kind of lean into them, which is nice. But yeah, I would say it's easy to get overwhelmed in DevRel. There's a lot of stuff you could be doing.
So easy.
Productivity skills has to be like top notch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's also a big struggle for me as well, which is like, I love helping people. There's about a gazillion ways in which I could spend 24 hours in any given day, like helping different people. How do you pick? How do you pick what do you think will be the most beneficial way to help? How do you like pick that North Star and say like, okay, I'm going to do this because it's going to help this large group of people, or maybe I'll help this person and they're going to create some content that's going to help like X amount of people. It can be hard to kind of do that. So prioritization and just kind of being able to track, like figure that out. I guess the last part of that is like metrics is very hard in this area, and it's like figuring out the best ways to track your impact and it's tough. I do want to.
It's like you got to leave something on the table.
Yes.
You know, it's like that.
Something
that
always gets left on the table. Yeah.
That was a shift. Like just feeling like, okay, your DMs are always gonna. You're not gonna be able to get to everything, but you got to carve out some time.
Yeah.
That's definitely a different thing for me, I think.
Yeah. Before we get too far, I do want to jump to this one particular question because it's very related to the roles that we have. Trevor, I think this would be a great question for you. And that is, there are two roles that look really similar. I've heard this quite a bit about this, the DX engineer and the developer educator. What are the fundamental differences in those roles?
Yeah, great question. So the we've actually had plenty of candidates applying to either role, and like we look at their profile and it's like, you know what, this like if this person applied to be a DX engineer, but really they're also a great fit for the educator, and so there is some overlap there. And the way you can think about it is kind of like the DX engineer their main focus is going to be building the actual platforms, building the web properties that a lot of this developer education content will live at. The DX educator is the person who's mainly responsible for creating that content. And so, I mean, that will take the form of tutorials or courses, or in some cases, it might be more like interactive things. And that's why with the educator role, there is definitely a requirement for some technical aptitude. I mean, even for creating content, like educational content for Apollo, you kind of have to know your way around the software to create effective content about it. And I know both of the other guys on the call can attest to that. And so, that's kind of how they break down. I think that there is definitely some overlap. Like the DX engineer, we ideally want to work with somebody who's comfortable talking about their learnings and engaging with the community on the stuff that they're building, and so that there's some similarity there. But yeah, primarily that the difference is building the platform versus building the content that lives on the platform.
Awesome. Yeah, that's like a really good kind of summary and breakup of those. If y'all have like follow-up questions about, either one of those things in particular, do let me know. So let me see. I'm going to go through here because there was something else. Xander asked kind of like, what does the team workflow look like for DX team? What would the day-to-day responsibilities be for like the DX engineer role?
For sure. Well, I'll talk about the day-to-day first, because that's the thing that I is kind of most fresh in my mind. I am a DX engineer on the education team. My day-to-day typically revolves around like, well, for the last few weeks, I've been building a new web property called the Dev Hub, and this is like without going too deep on like what it is. It is basically like a place where we can curate the best resources that like follow particular topics in the Apollo sort of learning arc. And so my days recently have been maybe like 75 to 80% working on Dev Hub, implementing feedback, soliciting feedback from my coworkers, trying out, iterating on different solutions to address problems that have come up internally, stuff like that. In general, working on Dev Hub, and then there's also a portion of my day that's spent, attending to new features or bug fixes or general improvements to our existing properties like the blog or the docs. We also maintain an open source Gatsby theme, so closing issues there when I can and stuff like that. So there's usually kind of like the main focus at any given time, and then we have a few other different properties and responsibilities that I have with, the other 20% or 25% of my time at any given moment. That's sort of how it breaks down. And then the other part of the question was like what the teamwork flow is. I think is that correct?
Kind of like so what would the workflow be really for like I guess on the DX team at large, like probably like what tools do we use, how do we prioritize work and stuff. It's kind of high level, I guess. But I guess more specifically they asked about, I think, the dev engineer role, which I think maybe we kind of also covered when we talked about the difference between that and the dev educator role, right?
Yeah. I think that's pretty well covered. I would just say, generally speaking, I can comment on how we interact with each other as a team, and especially cross teams, like between myself and you guys. We kind of have in our team we kind of have developed, I guess, a culture of just kind of like I like to think of jamming on things. Like we're not afraid to just like hop on a call, share a screen, and iterate collaboratively on a thing, even if it's just to like form the initial direction of something, and then the responsible parties will take it and run with that. But I would say that we have like a pretty healthy collaborative way of working. I like to think that it's not very interruptive. Like it's pretty light and loose and fun. It really works well with my working style. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts or comments.
I was gonna say, what I have liked to do, like for quite some time now, is sometimes while I'm working, might just hang out in Discord and work with some of my friends like from college or whatever. But now it's fun. We have our own Discord too. And if we want to just sit in there, it's like you're sitting at the table. Yeah, let's get some work done, hang out over here, just pop by, say hi. Yeah, I'm going to go step away, do some deep work for a bit. It's cool. It's it's a really nice like as a remote company, it's really cool to see that we have ways to kind of still collaborate and still feel like it's a a little bit of like a remote office. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, trying to get back to that like tap you on your shoulder feel in a remote
Hmm.
environment. It can be tough at times. Everything becomes Zoom meetings on calendars and yeah, so we try to find ways to break through that for sure. I would say like yeah, workflow. We are still relatively small team at this size. We're big proponents of as minimal process as possible, right? To like keep things held
Yeah.
together. We're not big on process heavy. There's a lot of independence, and yeah, we just try and make sure that we balance work between engaging work and work that needs to get done, right? Because both exist. In a perfect world, everything would just be, the best thing. But yeah, it's just about finding that balance, making sure everyone's challenged and nobody's toiling along every day. And then also making sure that we're doing the things that we love to do that help us help others. There's two questions in chat that are really jumping out to me that I want to answer. And the first one is actually two separate questions related to content not in English in other languages. And yeah, that is something that we don't really have. I don't. It's something that I would love to have. It's just something that we are lacking in. I am working though to better interact and work with the community, and as part of that, that is part of those plans is to help figure out who is creating this content and acknowledge it, reward it, promote it, and figure out what we can do maybe to integrate it, right? So that it's more easily available. So we are thinking about it. I'm very sorry that we don't have it. But yeah, know that we are, it is on our radar. It's something we're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. That's the other thing. Small team. A big part of developer experience that you'll find at a lot of companies, and I guess isn't too different at Apollo, is that um, it's new. The KPIs, OKRs, and like whatever you want to call them, the way that you can tangibly show people with money that you are bringing benefit to a company is difficult. It's not
Yeah.
well ironed out yet. And so there's a constant balance between getting the amount of people that you want to do the things that you need to do. And it's why we're so excited to have roles like a developer educator available and filmmaker, to be able to create
Yeah.
open content for people, free content. So yeah, we're always like, trying to find more ways to increase the amount of content we can provide to the community. So yeah, sorry, but yeah, we're getting there. That's why these roles exist. And we got hopefully more
Yeah.
coming up on the pipeline. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff on the DevRel team to help this as well. The next question that came up, ooh, I think the chat scrolled on me. Let me go see if I can find this real quick. Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, duh, 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 duh. Okay. What are you, oh, here we go. So what are you doing to ensure that BIPOC people and women not only feel safe in your community, but also feel encouraged to join and included? That's a fantastic question. I think a lot of that, for me, stems from representation, and we try to make sure that the people that we promote in the community and the events that we put on um, hopefully are representative of a larger piece of the community than like white males, cis white males. So we're always striving to improve on that. We have take our code of conducts very seriously and work very hard to provide as safe of environment as we can. Prioritize the most vulnerable first and foremost, always. And yeah, always trying to do pretty much everything we can to make sure that our community is representative of our community and not just a small portion of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's just some of the things that we can do. Y'all have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I think that Apollo does a lot of like really makes concerted effort to make our company a place where everybody feels welcome. Uh, I think that I can say that just from being inside of the company, and I see the effort put forth, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's really good to see from a company and the leadership.
I will also echo that. I remember my first day at Apollo when I made it down to San Francisco. It felt like I was stepping into like like a room full of like old friends. It was really cool and strange, but in a really awesome way. Like never kind of had that experience joining a new company before, and yeah, I feel like I'm still happy to say that it still kind of feels like that. Like when I get to work with people on other teams, everyone's always very just kind, and it's just a very open, I feel a very open, transparent company. It's really nice to work here. So yeah, I've definitely felt that as well.
Awesome. And then one other thing that I would like to add to that is if you have had a different experience, we do have a coda of conduct, and I should be able to get it right here in the chat. If you've experienced issues, you can submit, anonymously to here, and we would love to, help make sure that we make the community even safer. So yeah, please let us know. And yeah, let's see. Next question we've got. There's so many. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to keep up. There's so many good ones
This is
too.
great.
Yeah, and I don't want to miss
Chat's
any.
chat's bumping right now.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I think I jumped to the end accidentally, but that's okay. How is Apollo handling COVID? Will interviews be remote? Uh, yes. Yeah, right. I mean, we're right now fully remote. Everything is remote,
right now.
100%. So
Every part of the company.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all interviews would be handled remotely. Yeah, there will be no need for social distancing because we're going to be going through the internet. So yeah, no in-person anything right now. Yeah, we've moved all of our events virtual and like everything is virtual. We were already like 60 something% remote company before COVID landed. I'm remote already. Both Blades and Khalil
All
are
of us are,
remote. Yeah, Peggy's also remote. A lot of other people are remote. Yeah, but so
Well, the whole DX team, with the exception of Steven,
remote.
is all remote.
Yeah.
And we're also across multiple time zones.
Yep.
We have people in New York. We have people in Pacific time zone.
France.
Kurt is also Eastern
Mhm.
time zone. We have somebody in France, in Europe. So we're definitely pretty time zone friendly.
Yep.
We make it work across all these time zones. So yeah.
Yeah.
And that remote culture is obviously just something that is pretty ingrained in the company at large.
Absolutely. Okay. Here we go. Does it? Oh,
I saw it. Go ahead. I think you're about to read the question that I
from BJ Kegley.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Does it feel like there's pressure to guide developers to monetize Apollo services, or is the help resources you give pretty revenue agnostic? This is a really good question. Something that is extremely important to me, especially from a developer relations or dev advocacy point, is trust in the community. My first and foremost job, the thing that I love about dev advocacy, and honestly any job at all, is helping other people be successful. So when I think about solutions for people, that doesn't mean I think about Apollo solutions for people. It means I think about solutions for people. Sometimes that might be an Apollo solution. Sometimes it might be something else. But I'm always going to tell you the truth about what I think is the best solution. Yes, there are times when I actually do recommend Apollo's paid products when that is solving the problem that developers are facing, which is a lot of them. Apollo Studio has a lot of awesome features, and it really helps people running production GraphQL APIs and now starting to look at what it looks like for local developers. And yes, it's beneficial. Do I like if you go back and watch most of our content, look at the blog and stuff, you'll see feature releases and stuff, and some of the content might reduce like reference Studio, but by and large, no, there's not a lot of mention of Studio. Like if the focus of what we're working on has to do with teaching you and it doesn't involve something that Studio provides, we're not going to offer up Studio. So I don't ever really feel pressured to create content for the sake of funneling people into a paid product, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just add that like Studio is also free. Like
yeah.
You don't have to pay to use Studio.
Yep.
And so we may very well, create content in our streams. Recently, Kurt and I have been using Studio schema checks in the last 2 projects that we made. That's a feature that you can just use right now. You don't need to pay us money to use that. And so it's not necessarily like Kurt said, we're going to use the right tool for the job every time. If that happens to be Apollo Studio, then so be it.
Yeah, and I think a good case in point of that is that it goes beyond the paid product into the open source, into everything. So like GraphQL ecosystem is big, it's wide ranging, and we do cover a lot of content that references like maybe using Apollo server and creating your own GraphQL API, but we're also not going to force you down the path of that. Managed GraphQL is a thing. Maybe you want to use Hasura or GraphDB or like dgraph or like any of these other managed GraphQL services. We have content about integrating with all of those types of things as well. It's about solving problems for the developers at the end of the day, and that's what we all care about. We're a team of people who want to help other developers succeed. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think? Anything else you want to add to that? Should I look for any more questions we got?
I think you summarized it. Both of you summarized it perfectly. It's just connecting the problem and understanding the problem and connecting it to what we currently think is the best tool for the job. Yeah. Sometimes it's Apollo stuff. Sometimes it's a community package.
Yeah.
And I think just being transparent about that. I mean, transparency is just it's literally one of our values, part of the company, like everything we do. So yeah. I think, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, from the education side of things, we'll be creating courses about using Studio. Like I said, not all Studio features are paid. You don't have to pay to take the courses or to use Studio. Obviously, Studio is one of the ways that Apollo generates revenue. So, I mean, if Studio succeeds, then we succeed, and we get to create more awesome products. And there's all of this. It's all part of the same kind of cycle, if you will. But I believe that we're creating genuinely useful content. We're not out here being shells.
Yeah, but also just to sum that up, like at the end of the day, like you said, Studio is one of the ways in which we generate revenue, and like part of this also is like I think it's beneficial. I do want developers to use Studio because I want Studio to be something that is useful to you and you want to use. So that's why I'm always talking to people, trying to get feedback, seeing what people like and dislike, or their friction points and pain points, and give that feedback back to the product team to make sure that what we build is useful to the community as well as enterprise companies, and that's a large part of the job. So it's important. For sure. Yeah. Is it the only thing that we do? No. Do we ever feel pressured or have a need to, like, if I were to choose between 2 pieces of content and one I thought would be more beneficial to the Studio community at large and one would be more beneficial to like Studio signups, it's going to be the one that's more beneficial to the community at large that's going to go out the door. I think that's a good way to summarize that.
Yeah. I saw a question above from Daniel Afonso asking in a remote environment is often a challenge. How do you deal with that with coworkers from different time zones?
That's
I
great.
think that's an interesting and very relevant question.
Yeah, does anyone want to dive in there first? I don't want to answer all the questions, so I feel like I should be quiet for a minute.
Khalil, you want to take that?
Well, I know that, we do have a lot of people on our team, for one, just in different time zones. I think we were really good about saying, we tried different things out to even figure out when our meetings would be. We are copious note takers at this company as well. We take almost all of our meetings. We take a lot of notes, so you could go back and see what you missed if you were asleep, as you probably should be that day or at that time. So I think we've got a pretty decent system going right now, working across teams as well. It is a little bit of a challenging thing sometimes to put out something where you need to get a response back in order to move on and continue with your work. But I think we kind of have a little bit of a framework that we really like. It's the quick wins and stuff that you can own. That's the stuff that we really prioritize. And then when we need to work across teams, it's very much a we put it out there, and when someone gets back to it, they get back to it. But I think we do a really good job of kind of like creating a nice layer, a nice boundary of work that we can do, and we can really take this and just ship right away. And then stuff that we work across teams with as well. Yeah, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, my manager lives in France, and so I've had some experience just working with Raf over the last few months. Like the way that I've kind of adjusted to this is like just understanding the time zone overlap and just keeping that in your head, like when it's this time my time, it's this time his time, and just having a solid understanding of that. So for me, that main overlap of our working time is in the morning for me. So when I come to work, I think about in those morning hours where he's starting to wind down his day, I want to get all of my communication that I need to make with Raf done in those hours if possible. So I'll try to complete any work required to have those conversations the previous night, so that the next morning I can wake up and we can just exchange. And then also, like, during his day, he'll just send me Slack messages, and then when I come to work in the morning, it's like the first thing I see is the backlog of his Slack messages, and then we can take that time in those early hours to discuss those things before he signs off for the day. So it's just kind of like understanding that overlap and kind of like trying to front load your work in anticipation of those moments.
Yeah. And I oh, sorry, were you gonna say something, Khalil?
I was just gonna say it's funny, like, how we have like design principles in software and even in like human-centered design. It's almost like it's really cool because we have, like, those principles are great because they help guide everything you do, right?
Yeah.
So at Apollo, we have, like, our principles are, I've said this a couple times, I think, it's kindness, honesty, and transparency, right? And when I was listening to Blades explain, like, how he works with Raf, that's just the principle of kindness. You're probably going to be getting ready to hang out with your family and go do stuff, and I'm just getting my coffee started. So let me be as efficient and maybe put in a little bit of effort beforehand, so that you could go away and step away from your work and enjoy the rest of your day. I think that's it's great having that sense of how we operate, because it takes all of these different scenarios and it makes it feel just there's a guideline for what is the right thing to do. It makes it very easy to understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah, it's about having like basically just empathy for the other person. And I think another thing too is that communication here, and it was like this for me day one, is just assumed async first, right? It's like you're never
Yeah.
expecting a result, and people, have their notifications turned off when they should. And it's like, that goes into a whole thing outside of just Apollo communication, into like we're in a pandemic and people are home a lot, and like setting boundaries about your time and when you're online and stuff. But like, yeah, it's just, everyone is respectful of that. And I think that feeling comfortable enough to let a message sit until it's time for you to be back at work is something that helps with remote work regardless. But Apollo is a place that fosters that type of communication, and so it becomes very easy to kind of get into that groove. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a couple things to mention here real quick. I want to get to this. Woof Woof Dude in the chat. Another shout out for Khalil's work. Yo, trying to learn some
Hey.
clean architecture stuff. So real quick round of applause for Khalil.
Oh, thank you. Well, that stuff changed my life.
Yeah.
Just when you understand that there's more than MVC, yeah. There's a lot. I don't want to get into it, but thanks for supporting the blog and the book. I really appreciate that. I'm working hard at it every single day, so thank you.
That's awesome. Love it. Love to see it. So Michael Graham had an awesome question. Almost skipped right by this. There's some awesome GraphQL schema visualizations in Ashi's talk from Project Constellation at GraphQL Summit. Since visualization can be very useful when learning GraphQL, are there any plans to use such visualizations in combinations with docs and education materials in the future? This is something that I'm definitely hyped on, and would love to see us be able to produce more of. We're starting to get more of like having like the ability to at least create visualizations as far as like workflows and diagrams and stuff like that. I would love to be able to see us get to like a next level place where we've got like Maggie Appleton type like visualizations floating around. It does help me a lot. I'm a visual learner. I love those metaphorical kind of illustrations. They help me so much. Yeah, I mean, like no direct plans to go add it to our docs right now, but thanks for putting that on my radar again. We love to hear that people are interested. And so this actually kind of jumps into another question, so I'm actually going to do it, which is like, does the DX team help shape the Apollo product? And if so, how? Yes, I would say that we greatly affect the Apollo products, both the product as far as like Apollo Studio and open source. Yeah, like when we think about like developer relations and dev advocacy, especially to me, one part of that is like the awareness side, but the bigger part of that is the advocacy part. And what are you advocating for, right? And that's the community. And that's what I mean about getting that feedback and making sure that the things that go into Studio and go into Apollo client and Apollo server are the things that are going to solve your problems. We directly affect the roadmap in varying degrees at different times, affecting the roadmap, something that I used to think was like the end goal of dev advocacy, affecting the roadmap, I have come to realize is actually just one possible outcome of clearing pathways for developers. Maybe it's a long-term goal, and what can we do in the short term to clear pathways for developers facing this particular friction point? Maybe there's a solution outside of it that is just better. There's like a lot of things that go into it, but yeah, we do affect it. We're actually working on a couple awesome things with the Studio folks right now that I can't wait. Very, very excited for. I feel like Explorer in Apollo Studio is a great example of something that is largely driven and affected by community and needs of the developers. Of course, we definitely have an impact on that.
Khalil, do you want to talk about how your blog post shaped the development of AC3?
Yeah, that was fun. That was a great time. I mean, so when AC3, I think when I joined, actually, my first introduction to Apollo was that's another cool thing too, is I joined and I barely knew Apollo. I learned it on the job.
It's the best
And
way.
as I was learning, I was going through the exact same pain points that I like a lot of other people were going through. Um, and I pretty much just had the ear of Ben, who was working on the API at the time. And yeah, it was great. Just him and I voiced a lot of my concerns, just trying to get this, just trying to do the exact same things that people from the community were trying to do. It's like, Ben, we should really change this. This is hard to do. People aren't going to understand this. I don't understand this, and I work at the company. We need to fix this part. And after going back and forth quite a few times and putting out release candidates and seeing the comments from the community and the PRs. We eventually landed on something that we really liked, and I think that's just an example of one of, I think, maybe the most impactful and one of my favorite ways to push forward like our open source product. And yeah, it's great.
It was huge.
That was really cool. That was a really great experience. Yeah, we listen a lot too in the community. There's a lot of conversations that you hear over and over. And when you hear those similar conversations, you're like, okay, this is really what we have to focus on. Like Next.js is a huge thing we're hearing a lot about. Dealing with local storage is another thing that we're hearing a lot about as well. So that's kind of starting to dictate where I focus, and then coming up with the best solution is when I would tap Ben, like, hey, what do you think about this? We might need to revise this a little bit. But yeah, that's personally how I work, and yeah, I really like that experience.
Yeah.
Cool. The ear, you had the ear of Ben. It sounds like an item in Diablo or something. You found the ear of Ben, like increases programming power by +3.
Oh yeah.
Agility +20. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that like the while like the dev advocacy and stuff, like there's this kind of direction of community feedback through dev advocacy through to engineering, and then where education kind of fits in is then it kind of comes back around to education. Like the product in many ways shapes the when we talk about the product, I guess we're talking about open source tools and Studio, but I consider documentation to be one of our products as well. Yeah. And so that's another thing that is as much as those factors impact the open source tools that you use, they also impact the documentation that we create on the education team. And the courses that we're going to be creating are largely, if not completely, impacted by the things that we learn about people and what the pain points are when it comes to learning Apollo. And so those to me are, when I think of the product, for me, documentation, blog, and our courses, learning platform, and DevHub, and all of those things really make up the product in my mind.
Really agree.
And I also just wanted to, if I can, backtrack one more time to Michael's question about visualizations, and I just wanted to point out that we, aside from kind of like really fancy like Ashi level constellation visualizations, we're doing some baby steps in the docs already. We actually use a tool called Mermaid that allows us to create flowcharts and diagrams using Markdown, and then we have Mermaid parses these flowcharts and diagrams and then turns them into these nice scalable SVG pictorials pictorials isn't a word, that's like the like a picture of a pectoral. No, it's like an actual visual diagram explaining some of these like workflows in Apollo. So that's kind of like our first inching towards visualizations in our docs and our resources, and we're already doing that.
Yeah, and that's also kind of is that MDX powering that in the docs, or is that just?
It's just Markdown.
Oh, cool. I was curious because that is
just some Markdown format.
That will be something that the education team is diving into pretty heavily, though, right? In the learning platform stuff, some MDX powered content creation.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing I'm really excited about is working more with. Oh, thanks Piggy for the link. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like explaining the request lifecycle flow visually is for many people a lot better than if you click the link that Piggy pasted in chat. It helps us visualize the data flow in an Apollo app. Or an Apollo API a little better.
There's just some stuff that you really need to just draw.
Yeah.
You know?
For real.
Sometimes you really just need to draw the thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really nice that you can couple them with the docs. That's next level, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, to Kurt's point, you mentioned MDX, and that's something that we adopted really early on with our docs. And we've been leaning into it bit by bit heavier as time goes on. Like our code blocks with the language switcher and stuff like that, they're all powered by MDX in the docs. And then the project that I'm currently working on is really like mainly powered by MDX. MDX is the main format for authoring. That we're working with right now, and so it's pretty fun. Like I think that one of the things that has been consistent about building products for the developer experience team is that we've really been pushing the envelope with new and emerging technologies.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to try out some of these hot new technologies, and in some cases it's the right tool for the job, and it's fun to use. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, the bleeding edge. I like to walk on the edge. Yeah. But I feel like MDX is not really bleeding edge anymore, to be honest. That's like it's pretty well evolved.
Yeah.
V2, it's like it's pretty standard now. But it's still an amazing technology that really opens up a lot of cool doors. So yeah, it's very interesting. Something that I've been super hyped about for a long time. So real quick, Goddard's UK, yes, Night Owl t-shirt, gotta love it. Shout out to Jason Langstor and Sarah, you do, yes. I see you got yours too. Can the community get any sweet Apollo merch? Well, something that I am focused on, believe me, I am focused on sweet Apollo merch. I'm a big fan of making custom stickers and all sorts of goodies when it comes to swag. So yeah, you best believe it's on the forefront of my mind. All jokes aside, it's part of a bigger thing that I am working on. But yeah, not only should you be able to get the merch, but I would love to see a world in which we reward the community for contributions, which is also something that Kyle asked, which is like, how can the community help the DX team? And you know what you could do, to be honest, great things is like, trying out betas and providing feedback, reaching out to us, letting us know how you feel about them. Just
That's cool.
Making some of that sweet content about Apollo. There's no thing that you could possibly want to write that people already know enough about. Go write it. Go write the thing. Go record the thing. Go do anything with the thing. Come join me on stream and let's talk about something, or build something. I think that's the number one way. Is just that there's always going to be people trying to do things that we just can't get to them and help them out with enough. So it's when you hear these conversations, like everyone's like, oh, you know what, like dealing with errors sometimes in an Apollo client, I really wish someone would just let me know what's going on in there. Blog post, it's just like that kind of stuff. You can contribute to the Apollo blog. We do love contributions. You can also just put it out on your own. Let us know about it. We'll help you promote it. We'll help you share it with the community. Yeah, I would say those are like some of the biggest ways. What else? What do y'all think? What are some other ways the community can help us out? I mean, we really want to help you out, but since you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the main things that can contribute to the health of a community is just becoming engaged. Use the tools. If you notice pain points when you're using the tools, don't just bottle that anger up.
Yeah,
we want to hear about it.
Unleash it on us. Let's hear what
we can handle
what's going wrong, and we want to
Yeah.
address it. You know, we are part of a really active and vocal community, and we do hear a lot.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's hard to get through everything all the time, but we truly do.
We appreciate it.
Want to hear what's on everybody's mind, what's working well, what's not working well, and yeah, help us help you in a way.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Let's see. Yes. Yes. Please put that on a T-shirt. Go write the thing. They're gonna. Nice. That's amazing. Yeah.
Nice.
Or a sticker at the very least.
At least a sticker. I should make a sticker. I think I'm gonna.
Sticker that
Oh dear Lord.
itself.
It is a sticker that almost writes itself. It wrote the thing. Too meta?
Yeah.
Too meta? Trombone? Is that trombone?
How would you represent that on a sticker? You saying write the thing on a sticker of you doing the thing of.
Oh,
I feel like it could get
like
we gotta think about this
recursion. There's like
company meeting later.
Yeah. All right. Stream is over. Thank you for
That's
joining.
a sticker.
This takes priority. We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. A picture of your own hand writing the thing.
Yes. Oh my god.
Whoa. Dude, you just broke stickers. Oh man. And actually, I just wanted to point out, Admiral Johnson just mentioned it. It looks like there might be a way to rate article. There might be a rate article link next to every documentation article that might help the team identify issues in the docs. And yeah, that you pretty much
that's
nailed
new.
it. We actually just added a feedback widget into the docs that I mentioned earlier in the stream, but some folks might be just joining. Yeah, so every article in the docs you can provide feedback on. You can rate the article from a scale of 1 to 5, and contribute some written feedback along with it, which is that's the real important part. I don't care if you give us a 1 star out of 5, but if you explain what the article did wrong or what we could do better, that is
money. Yeah, and as such,
Yeah.
circling back to that whole swag and merch thing, I'd love to see a world in which you do that, and then we're like, yeah, we deeply appreciate your help. Here's like a little something from us. Yeah.
Here's a recursive sticker.
Here's a recursive sticker. You just get a sticker
stuck in
every
it, though.
day forever. It's like over and over and over again. Here's a good question. Oh wait, I got one or two more. I do like this one about like the workflow for publishing work, but I want to get to some other stuff. I saw Peggy actually answered this one from BJ Kegley again, but like when are we looking to fill the positions? The job postings are up. You can apply. Like, that's like the interview process would be starting. Like we're looking to hire immediately. Definitely check that out. And so actually I already got to the that other question. So now this brings me to my next one, which is what is the workflow of your public material content? Write, review, publish? Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, Khalil, do you want to maybe like take this from the blog's perspective, and then I can I guess take from like the stream side of things?
Yeah, because I guess we have a lot of different types of content.
Yeah, we do.
And with docs as well is another one too.
Yeah, Trevor, you want to take that one?
From a blog's point of view, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. One of the things you could do if you would like to submit a blog post is you could. I think Peggy posted the link. You post your blog post idea, and what happens is from there, We get a quick draft, and you and I or someone else will collaborate on finishing the draft, and then we'll take it and review it and publish it. Um, as we kind of said earlier, we kind of like to have as a minimal amount of process. We kind of like to just try it out until it feels like it's a little uncomfortable, and then maybe get to process later.
Yeah.
But yeah, we start out pretty natural for the most part. But if we're talking about all of the blog posts I would love to write, and in my massive Notion, that's a different story. We got a lot of stuff in there.
It's a lot of blog posts.
A lot of blog posts, and it goes through a much different process. But yeah, so that's I think the way that works. And yeah, what do you think? So how does that kind of align with streaming? What's your workflow look like, Kurt?
Yeah, streaming is a bit more looser. So really it comes down to, well, like you mentioned earlier, it's just like listening and hearing what people are talking about, finding out what's going on in the GraphQL community, and then figuring out what makes sense to like create content for. I love streaming because it's very... you just get people together, you join a Skype call or Zoom call or whatever, and like you can just go. So it opens up a lot of doors to create the type of content that would otherwise probably not get made, because it would just take up too much time. Honestly, because it's unedited, it's uncut, it's raw. You just like get what you get. So to me, it's mostly about like scheduling, making sure that the content that I am creating is not just for the sake of content, but trying to solve some sort of purpose or problem. And because we have this freedom, it's just like whatever we want it to be, we've kind of structured that into shows. And so what those different ones look like is we have Orbit, where we talk about like what's new in the GraphQL community, and that's just hanging out with the community and sharing cool things we found and talking with folks. We have Launchpad, where Blades and I will build like a idea of whatever, an app or maybe a package or something, start to finish. And you kind of get to see the whole workflow. What does the whole thing look like to like build a chat app or a Twitch integration or any of these things powered with GraphQL and Apollo. And then lastly is mission briefing, which is fun for like all the one-off things, like somebody at Apollo on the studio team wants to show off an awesome new feature they made, or there's anyone in the GraphQL community like doing anything. Maybe they're making a new project, or they can show the community how to get started with Vue in Apollo, or we love having people come on and just like create some content that is quick and can answer questions, interact with the chat. For me, it's like a little bit less about the specific content. I really enjoy the learning that we do. I feel like not a stream goes by where I don't like hear about either a pain point or discover something somebody likes or figure out some problems people are having or content that's missing. And it's just a lot of things. Right. It's a lot of avenues. But I think to me, the biggest is I just want to build a community and be there to answer questions for folks. And like that content that we create is almost just like a nice side benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. There's a good variety of types of content on the stream, like Kurt pointed out. Some days you might get 3 DX team members on here talking about their jobs for a couple hours.
Yeah.
No, but and mission briefing is also just it's so cool to see how other companies and other people are using GraphQL in novel ways, and so it's always interesting when you have those types of streams there, Kurt.
Exactly. I love it. And it's something else that Kyle just mentioned too. Yeah, like he remembers my mind being blown. Like we were talking about like some interesting ways in which like StockX is using Federation, and it's just like, yeah, that's another thing I love streams for, is to have people come on and talk about like how they're using GraphQL, like what does their GraphQL story look like, and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a great avenue to interact with the community in a bunch of different ways, and like, yeah, we love it. In case you can't tell, because this is where you're talking to us. So apparently we think there's something to it. But yeah, yeah. Let's see what else we got. Cool. I'm trying to think. It looks like we're actually getting through these questions.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to maybe talk about like the docs a little bit? What's like the process there? How does something get into the docs, please? Maybe. I feel like that's our other content kind of avenue.
Yeah. So I touched on this a little bit earlier. The model that we have for our docs at Apollo is that code owners or maintainers will be the ones that ultimately like document their work. And so for that reason, we also co-locate the docs for each product or tool next to their code base, making it convenient for code owners to create documentation. And we also have our documentation lead, Stephen, who is kind of like the last point of contact for all documentation that goes out. He makes sure that our documentation follows particular like writing style, language conventions, makes the docs feel cohesive and consistent across all of the different properties that are being documented, and then there's also documentation that like Khalil wrote or rewrote and updated the full stack tutorial documentation.
Yeah.
When I remember you converted most of the documentation or most of the tutorial to TypeScript.
Yeah.
That was a huge undertaking. With Apollo Client 3 launching now a couple months ago, I think, there was sweeping documentation changes that had to happen there, and everybody kind of pitches in and makes that happen. But yeah, generally speaking, code owners are responsible for writing docs, and our documentation lead is responsible for making those docs feel consistent.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Love it.
And really, like the other thing is that that I should mention is that our documentation is also updated and improved by you, the community, where every document. I see what you're doing.
Damn it.
Go ahead. I'll wait. That's right. So you'll notice every documentation page has a little edit on GitHub link, and we've received tons of contributions from community members that are even if it's like updating a typo or fixing a variable name or little improvements to larger changes where they're like, oh, actually, like, you explained it like this, but in reality this is happening, so here's an update PR, and in many cases we'll happily merge community changes to our docs. So that's the other way that documentation changes happen, and we're able to continue to evolve our docs. Heck
yeah. I love it. Okay, so I think I'm going through. I think you have to go. Sorry, answering a question for Peggy in real time. But I think you click on their profile, and there's a way to whisper. Maybe I think they're called whispers on Twitch. You send a whisper to send a DM. I don't know. It might be easier to take it to Twitter. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, thank you. Digging the new lighting? Yes, I'm a big fan. It's a brighter background than I had before. It was pretty dark before. A lot of folks like that too, though. They were like, I'm a fan of the mystery. But I like it brighter, but just for comparison. Here's what it was.
Yeah,
this is what it was. It's like spooky Kurt. Good for October at least, right? It's like I'm mysterious.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, hey, welcome to my vlog. And then it's like, A little more.
Yeah.
Lit up.
And now you guys both match. Your room lighting is pretty on point. Both of you are following the same room lighting guidelines. I obviously need to get with the program over here. I've got like a shelf that I need to put up, and it's
Yeah.
not quite as.
I just want to say, you don't have to, if you join Apollo and you become a developer advocate, you do not have to dye your
Yes,
hair.
you do.
You don't have
Yes, you
to
do.
you don't
Yes,
have to
you-
get a sick background like us.
Yes, you do.
You can do your thing.
But it helps a lot.
It might help you. It might help you advocate a little bit
kidding.
harder.
It does.
might.
It might, maybe. I'm gonna say it works 100% of the time, 60% of the time. Just the work that I do is just better anytime this light is on. So it's facts.
It's just the juice, man.
It's just the juice.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, I did put together like a recommended equipment list recently. It features a lot of these items, and I tweeted about it earlier, a little self-promotion in there. But no, it's just like a Notion doc that has a link to a bunch of equipment. If you have decided that you want to stream, I do say this is not for someone who's like, I think I'm going to try streaming, and then you go like buy the stuff on this list. This is like, I've streamed, I'm into it, or like I want to look great in meetings and stuff. I'm into having some quality equipment. That's when you go to this list. Not as like, it's not the entry point. It's more like all right, I'm going to step it up a notch. That's the kind of that list. But yeah.
Do you have a link for that, Kurt?
I do somewhere. Yeah, let me go get that. Oh, thanks, Peggy. She just shared it. You were the best.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Peggy is
Last link.
On fire. Yeah, on fire. Yeah, but no, really, you should, if you dye your hair, if you join the team, it makes everything better. Your food tastes better. Your content is better. It's just
depending on the color.
That's true. That's true. No, it's not. Oh, facial hair dye and glitter, like Christmas beard. Is that? I need to shave.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, but I could Christmas beard it.
That is a thing you could do.
Yeah.
It is in the entire set of things that are possible for you to do. That is one of them.
This is one of them.
Should you do it?
Yeah, that's
another question.
That is a whole nother question.
Well, I know that you've been pampered up by your kids.
Dawson? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She loves to give me
occasions.
Yeah,
right?
I'm actually due for one. She keeps saying, "Daddy, you owe me a makeover," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Right.
It's been a while. We're gonna try and get it done this weekend. It's a couple hour thing though. You got to like clear your calendar. Do the nails, do the hair, do the makeup, and then she does mine and I do hers. So it takes a while.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of depth.
It is. It's nice
out for
though.
that.
It's a lot of fun though. You feel very good afterwards, It's like fresh look, feeling good. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, here's one from Peggy, which is cool. What's the initiative you're looking forward to the most for 2021? I like this.
I can start.
Yeah, hit it
Well,
up.
I'm really looking forward to developing this learning platform, and in a nutshell, what it is it's a more kind of hands-on, high polish courses for using Apollo, and we've got plans to build courses on a range of experience levels from beginner to intermediate and advanced topics, and really make them like polished courses that you could be like you would want to get your team at work to take, for example, get everybody up to speed, and be certain that everybody's up on the same level of understanding, and that kind of. I like to think that they're going to be fun as well. Like they're an emphasis on interactivity. We'll have like interactive code blocks where you can send GraphQL requests and do all sorts of stuff like that. And for me, that's really interesting because not only is it I think going to be a really useful product for community members, people learning Apollo, but it presents a really interesting challenge from an engineering standpoint. We want to accomplish all of this while also making the authoring process for the course creators a really good one. That really with any of these DX properties, that's a core consideration. Is not only does it have to function for the end user, the person who's using the content, but for the people who are responsible for creating the content, we want to make that a really good experience too. So yeah, I'm really pumped for that. We're going to there's a lot of directions that we can go. We're at the very early stages of that project right now, but I'm excited to see how far we can push it.
What about you, Khalil? Yeah, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, man, there's so many different projects that
I know
I'm excited about. There's so many. But I think the one that I'm most pumped about right now is a kind of return to, I think maybe one of my favorite things is just conveying information in the most concise way possible. I think blogs, and I'm really excited to sit down and do some Next.js content. I've heard so much about it. I know a lot of people are using it. I've yet to really dig in and get my hands dirty with it, but that's one that that's probably like the biggest thing for me that I'm most excited about. And also just trying to grow the blog in general. Like I just find it very fun to do anything growth related. It's just very fulfilling for me, I think, to take something and just kind of niche in with posts and really just listen to people and see how I can create content around that. So yeah, blog growth and just a return to listening to the community and trying to write about what matters right now. And that's what I think is going to be really fun, filling in those education gaps,
Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm. That's the key, filling in those education gaps. And so real quick, if anyone has not come across it yet, Khalil's series on Apollo Client 3, Best Practices, has a lot of awesome stuff in it. And I believe there'll probably be some more of that in the future as well, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely check it out. And then this will kind of give you a tease or taste of what he's talking about with this Next.js stuff. It's second to none. High quality. As a matter of fact, people have been in the chat talking up Khalil's content, and all for very good reason, folks. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm very excited for this Next.js stuff. It's something that I've been getting more and more interested in as well. I've been helping a lot of people who are working on Next.js projects. Yeah, and I'm really liking it. So yeah, I definitely want to dive in pretty deep as well. So I can't wait for that content. Yeah, so I guess, let me take, what was that, initiatives that we're excited about. Yeah, so what I am most excited about, something that we'll be working on the DevRel team over the next year, is our Apollo Champions program. And essentially what this is getting to a place where we know who is engaging with us in the community and with each other, and find ways to promote that, right? Raise the voice of the community, connect the community together for people who are working on the same things or maybe running into the same issues and stuff like that. Reward the community as well is a big part of 2021 for me that I'm very excited about. Y'all do a lot already, talking about helping us. The GraphQL community in general has just been an amazing community to be a part of over the last couple of years. I look at GraphQL Summit and just seeing everyone in there sharing ideas and solutions and talking through problems and the future of GraphQL and just stuff is just very awesome. And y'all already do a lot, and I want to find ways to help you in whatever ways. And I'm actually wanting to know what that is. Like, what would you like to see? Like, what would be the most beneficial to you from the Apollo side? Swag, like promotion of content, just like, let me know, like, what are the things that excite you? What would you love to see us do? Because that's a big part of 2021 on the DevRel side. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about by far. Yeah, pretty pumped about that. And then, so let's see. So I think that covers that. Hey, you're very welcome. We're so glad we could do this live stream. Yeah, Party Corgi in the chat, as always. Gotta love it. And then, let's see here. Do you folks at Apollo keep a list of the place the community can go post regarding docs or examples needed? Oh, so like, what do we like track content requests? I guess kind of is like the thing here, or updates to the docs. I think for updates to the docs, like you can, they're all on GitHub. I feel like issues is probably like if you're hitting an issue with the docs, you feel like something is missing or not quite clear. Is that the best? That's the best avenue for that, Blades?
Right? Yeah. Peggy took this question in the chat, and yeah, she basically said the same. File an issue in GitHub. I think that's pretty good. I'll also mention we're just about to launch a new project, like a new resource from the DX team called DevHub, and as you noted, the docs, the docs might not cover every use case,
never gonna
in depth, or like reading the docs alone might, in some cases, might not be the best pathway for somebody, and in others that might be reading a blog post or watching a stream highlight where we cover certain issues that are more tailored to your specific use case. So what DevHub does is allows us to kind of gather and curate these sets of content. So we'll have and we curate these into units that we call collections. So a collection might have a link to the docs about a particular subject, let's say auth, or error handling, where
anything federation,
to understand error handling, federation, caching, local state management, things like this. But just for an example, if you want to fully understand error handling in Apollo, it might be useful to read the docs on a particular subject, read a blog post that was really good about explaining the subject in a different light. We had an awesome talk at GraphQL Summit earlier this year about error handling, and we'll present all of these resources to you in like one convenient place, so you don't have to kind of like go jumping around all of our resources. We kind of do the searching for you and get that information together. But if you have suggestions on things that we should add, always GitHub issues.
And so like a follow-up to this would, because I'm seeing like a follow-up response from P. Kellner, is just that of course there's going to be a lot of things that we don't know, like content that people need that we have no idea is needed. This is true, and it can be very hard to do that. So it's like, what does that look like? How do you put that onto our radar? That's a really good question. I feel like Spectrum is one of the places where you could actually probably look for those solutions first. If you're still not finding what you need, reaching out to any one of us from the DevRel team, we'd be more than happy to try and help you figure it out or find the thing that it is. And sometimes it could be a case of Google Foo, or it could be a case of it's missing, or it's something that we hadn't considered. You have a use case that we haven't considered. So it would be helpful for us to know where you're struggling, and that's why we do a lot of activity, and large part of our job, especially on the developer advocacy side, is to to do workshops and gather feedback and have people come on stream. Like right now, like now I'm very aware of an issue that you are struggling with in particular, right? And so like it's on my radar now. And this is how it happens. This is what we have to do. We have to go out and get into the community and be where people are conversating and create those avenues to interact with us directly to provide that information. I mean, we could like put up like a form, but then I feel like at the end of the day, it becomes like, you know, just this like big list of things. I'd much rather get to know you and hopefully ideally the root of the issue. Sometimes like issues are also like a symptom of a bigger problem or something underneath. So it's not easy. There's not one path. This also goes back to prioritizing and figuring out what are the things that we have to focus on. It's not an easy problem to solve. As the GraphQL and Apollo community grows, it's only going to get harder, but it's something that, you know, we're thinking about. We actually have one initiative that kind of works towards this coming up, which is trying to create a community, online community, where you can come, voice these problems, and like gather information from other community members as well as us. But yeah, we're working on that. Better knowledge base support. These are also things that we've been talking about a lot recently and want to do in 2021. I hope that answers that question or, you know, helps with that. Hey, GraphQL FM in the chat.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
Uber Eats came in.
So actually with that, it's 4:30. So we've been at this, wow, believe it or not, for an hour and a half. So we'll take a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up the stream. I'll be around on Twitter. You can DM me or just tweet at me if you have some follow-up questions, and I'd be more than happy to get to them. So let me see if I can skim through a couple of these and then see what we can come up with. Okay, cool. So really, I'm only picking out this one. So if nothing else rolls in, we'll make this maybe our wrap-up question. So start providing GraphQL APIs. Are you feeling like there are conventions missing in the ecosystem, especially between a client and server? Any particular thing that would improve a dev's experience when integrating with various providers? Stuff you need to figure out every time. Yeah, you integrate with a new API, for example. That's a really good question. This is really kind of like a best practices question about like integrations. Like, what would that look like? So here's the interesting thing. I feel like the GraphQL schema as a whole, right, and GraphQL in general provides a lot of the rules for the integrations. And while integrating with different APIs can be pretty different, I'm not really sure what ways like you can kind of genericize that. Yeah, like what are the conventions between a client and server? Like, I mean, I guess you could try to get the community to normalize on one particular pagination type, which would allow clients to focus on, you know, that particular type of scenario and open up a lot of doors. Hello, Relay. Like that's literally Relay in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't know. In my honest opinion, one of the things I actually like about Apollo is that it's generic and allows me to use it whether I'm spinning up my own Apollo server, I'm talking to some companies like awesome, GraphQL API, or I'm using something like dgraph, which is like your GraphQL queries are making database updates at the end of the day. But Apollo client will work in any one of those scenarios. I don't know. That's man. You really got me with that one.
Great question. Like it's a fascinating question because, you know, GraphQL is not very new, but it's a lot more new than a lot of things. And I think it's just something we see in technology in general is a need to normalize on things, but there's just so many different great ideas from so many different people. And there's just so many different ways to do things as well. And I think like one thing I really like about the GraphQL community is there's a lot of great packages out there that people use, and there are different approaches. Like there's no one approach to do auth, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's great too, because you get to ask yourself, how granular do I want to get with this thing? Or do I really need an enterprise level auth, or do I just need something good enough? So I feel like best practices will work to an extent, but I also feel like there's so much, I feel very funny saying this, but there is such a level of it depends in almost every case, you know?
Yeah, one thing though, I think I would like to see more formalized and have best practices around would be error handling.
That's what I was thinking about before I actually came in here too.
Yeah.
Like dealing with errors in general is
and now I'm seeing in chat they said that too. Errors come to mind. Yeah.
Oh really? Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I know Sasha Solomon left a really great she did a really great talk on error handling. In that pattern, the result pattern is actually it is a result pattern. It's a very functional pattern for handling errors, and I think it's probably the best one. I think now when we get over to onto the client side of things, React is still a land where things are even harder to set best practices in React land, because there's so many different ways to do it. There's no one way to code React. So
that's it.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice though to one of these days I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna come up with my own opinion on what I think is nice, and probably pass it to others at Apollo, and maybe we'll release something like, hey, here's what we think.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
It would be. That would be amazing. I would love it. Okay, real quick, I think we'll wind up with these. So first is just for iPon Pancakes, which is, are you guys aware of any frameworks that automatically generate GraphQL schemas based off some kind of predetermined ORM-like structure? The closest thing I've seen to that, because I believe Prisma has kind of moved away from that, they pretty much did that under the hood like for you, but is Nexus. Nexus.js lets you programmatically create schemas. That's going to get you in the ballpark, and you could connect an ORM to Nexus, I would imagine. But yeah, so Nexus.js, I dropped a link in chat. That's going to do that. And then I guess we'll make this our last question from Mitch Stewart, which
sorry to interrupt.
No, let's do it.
I feel like this is something that we've, like, this kind of thing is something that we've talked about on Orbit a number of times now. Like there's been a few of these. I wish that they were fresher in my memory. Does Type GraphQL do this kind of thing for TypeScript? Is that kind of
that's right.
I'm pretty sure. Daniel, if you check out typegraphql.com, this seems to also be that kind of thing where you create. You create a class in TypeScript, and you have it like annotated with these like TypeScript decorators, and it generates a schema. That's like the Halloween version of a GraphQL schema. Anyway, that's also an option. Of course, the implication there is you're using TypeScript, so make sure you're cool with that.
That's amazing. Schema. We like to have fun.
How did you get that so quick?
You like that? Hey, I added that's a meme template that we have, so you can do meme commands in the chat, folks. It's a lot of fun. We have a couple. Oh, I need to update the it's not gonna have the recommended template. I don't
noticed this yet, actually, but or I don't know.
I don't know if you've seen this. We have a template of you, sir, in our meme list.
Really?
Yes. Oh, you'll see it.
Yo, that's hilarious. That's when we were playing basketball in what's that place called?
Oh, what
remember.
was that
Oh,
place
there's like a big
called?
arcade.
But I had
Yeah.
I was on a roll that like
You were crushing it.
I don't know what got into me there. I
Yeah.
unleashed.
Yeah, you were sinking
That was
them.
great.
I
Yeah.
unleashed.
So
Plus
many-
ultra.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay. All right. So this will be our last question from where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go, from Mitch Stewart. 08. What would you say your ideal candidate for the developer experience engineering role looks like? Huh.
Yeah. So Peggy also took this earlier in chat, but I'll just
Oh,
reiterate
man.
for the
I'm
rest
so
of the
far
people on
behind.
the stream. No, it's all good. The DX engineer role is it's like a junior to mid-level person ideally, and you know, we build all of our properties in React and with Gatsby and GraphQL, so experience in those areas is definitely a plus. But you know, the main thing that we're looking for is somebody who's eager to learn these technologies, and you know you're gonna have an immediate impact working on some of these properties, developing features, making improvements to our existing properties, stuff like that, and then really at the end of the day, I think we all want somebody that we're excited to work with, and that we get along with really well. So that should sum it up for you.
Yes. All
Yeah.
those things. Yeah, really just somebody who loves making apps, you know, and does it in React and Gatsby ideally. Not a prerequisite by any means, but that's what we're using. Yeah. Excited about MDX would probably be beneficial if you like it. I mean, you don't have to be.
Sure.
And when I say excited, please, I don't mean this as like a passion thing. Like, what is your passion for development in Apollo? Like, I don't care what you do, and when you ain't at work, it doesn't have to be coding. I just mean like,
Eat, sleep, MDX.
yeah, eat, sleep, code. No, I just mean like, yeah, MDX is pretty fun. if it interests you, check it out. But yeah. I just like to draw that line, you know, because like, you know, people be like, well, you know, what motivates you? Why are you so passionate about working here? And then it's like, yeah, but that doesn't carry over as well, like in the interview process.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if you did that. You
Should.
did that just like, so why do you want to work here?
Yeah. Ah.
Jeez.
Oh snap.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think that was a lot of questions, y'all. We did good. We should give ourselves a round of applause.
Yeah, we got through a lot.
Oh yeah. Good job, y'all. Good job. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Yeah. If you have follow-up questions, there's a couple ways to reach out to us. Our Twitter handles are down below the title in order from left to right. That also match our videos from left to right. So we got Khalil and Trevor and then myself. We would love to answer some questions on Twitter. If you want to tweet at us, tweet at us. Don't tweet, you know, just like at, like all caps, like at us.
Yeah.
But yeah, tweet at us. And we're around, folks, but not here anymore because we're leaving here now because the stream's over.
Yeah, thanks everybody for
around
hanging
in a
out.
different way.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Couldn't ask for better co-hosts.
Oh, it was amazing. I love hanging out with y'all. That's it. Very nice. Come hang out with us, y'all. Oh, see what I did there? All right. And with that, we'll leave you, and we'll see you all later. Bye, everyone.